I guess I should have waited an extra 5 or 10 minutes to post my video on Tim Tebow getting cut, because minutes after I uploaded that video, I'm checking the internet, looking for my next topic. I head on over to Outkick, and the main story on the front page involves one of our favorite targets here on the channel. Of course, I am talking about Captain Woke, Stephen A. Smith. We have not talked about Captain Woke in a while. I don't think we've talked about him since his comments on Shohei Ohtani, what was that, 6 weeks ago, around the Major League Baseball All-Star break? I actually came to the defense of Stephen A. in that situation. I think the reaction to his comments was a bit overblown. Like I say here all the time, this is not an agenda-driven channel. I call it like I see it. Whether I agree with their ridiculous political opinion or not, I don't mind coming to the defense of an uninformed woker if the situation calls for it. It's not going to happen today. Once again, it is time to roast Stephen A. Smith for being a complete and total dumbass. I don't think that Stephen A. really believes what he says. I think he is told what to say by his masters at ESPN. Believe it or not, Stephen A. Smith used to be a moderate. He actually encouraged black people to vote for Donald Trump back in 2016. It wasn't until ESPN started paying him $12 million a year that he decided to jump aboard the woke train. Not only jump aboard, he's driving it. Essentially, he sold his soul, his integrity, for money. You guys already know how I feel about Tim Tebow playing in the NFL. But I am going to defend him being given the opportunity by Urban Meyer. It is not white privilege, like Stephen A. Smith wants you to believe. He actually took it a step further on Woke Take this morning. Stephen A. made the comment that there is a whole bunch of black folks that never get the opportunity that was given to Tim Tebow. What? I want to cut him a little bit of slack here. I know Stephen A. doesn't know anything about the NFL. He constantly mispronounces the names of popular players. He gives analysis that doesn't make sense. He says that he's looking forward to seeing players play that have been on IR all season. So I know Stephen A. doesn't know dick about the NFL, which goes to show you that ESPN really is paying him $12 million a year to promote woke propaganda. But even with that being the case, Stephen A. Smith should know that the NFL is majority black. My sister hasn't watched an NFL game probably in her entire life. Even she knows the NFL is made up mostly of black players. So I'm a bit confused and also a little bit concerned about the mental state of Stephen A. Smith. You have to either be blind or mentally challenged to not see that the NFL is made up mostly of black players. Damn near 70% of the league is African American. If anyone has a claim about racism in the NFL or the NBA, it is every race other than black people. This really aggravates me. It really pisses me off about Stephen A. Smith. Every time a white coach gets hired in the NFL or the NBA, what is the first thing he wants to claim? He wants to claim that the white coach was given the opportunity because of white privilege. When that happens, he will point to the fact that 70, 75, 80% of the league is African American, yet only 15% of the coaches, or whatever the number is, are black. But when it comes to a white player, in this case Tim Tebow, being given an opportunity, Stephen A. ignores the fact that the NFL consists mostly of black players. It's another example of woke hypocrisy. Never let facts get in the way of pushing the agenda. But it gets even better. Oh, it gets even better. Everyone knows Stephen A. Smith has a gigantic ego. His ego is even bigger than his head. And Stephen A. has an unusually large head. Ego even bigger. This dude's ego is so big, and he is so out of touch with reality. On national television this morning, he claimed that the possible reason that Tim Tebow got cut was because Urban Meyer was taken back by his comments on the issue. Saying the only reason Tim Tebow was given the opportunity was white privilege, those comments. Let's just put that into perspective for a second. Let's try and make some sense out of what Stephen A just claimed. He wants me to believe that Urban Meyer, head coach in the NFL, who is trying to put together a playoff caliber roster, made a personnel decision based off of comments made by a talking head on ESPN. That's what you want me to believe. I'm supposed to believe that. I would be more willing to believe that Urban Meyer hasn't even heard about Stephen A's comments on Tim Tebow than I would believe that he made a personnel decision based off of that claim. That might be the stupidest thing that I have ever heard Stephen A. Smith say, at least in the past 4 to 6 weeks. We could make a 12-hour video on uninformed comments from Stephen A. Smith, especially when it comes to the NFL. It really aggravates me when someone in the position of Stephen A. Smith complains about white privilege, because he is the most privileged employee at ESPN. I cannot stand hypocrisy, and he is the poster boy for being a hypocrite. He flies around on private jets during the NBA playoffs. His salary is double what Mike Greenberg is making, who is the second highest paid employee at ESPN. Outside of the NBA, Stephen A has very limited knowledge. When I talk Major League Baseball here on the channel, which is not very often, but when I do, I always preface it with, I don't watch baseball. When we talk baseball, it's mostly SJW stuff or political in nature. But I'm always upfront with you about my lack of knowledge for Major League Baseball. Stephen A doesn't do that. He pretends like he is an expert on the NFL. He pretends like he's an expert on UFC. Remember last year when Joe Rogan embarrassed him on national television? I can't remember which fight it was. It was a major fight in the UFC. After the fight, Stephen A was giving his analysis, and Joe Rogan absolutely blasted him. It was a beautiful thing. If ESPN were paying Stephen A based off of his knowledge of sports, he would not be making anywhere close to $12 million a year. They are paying him that kind of money for 2 reasons. One, whether you love him or whether you hate him, he does bring attention to ESPN. That's one of the reasons it was absurd for Maria Taylor to ask for Stephen A money. Maria Taylor has under 300,000 followers on Instagram. Most people had never heard of her until the Rachel Nichols tapes leaked last month. Stephen A makes news every week. We're talking about him right now. This is a perfect example. The second reason ESPN is paying him that exorbitant salary is the reason that I gave you earlier. They are paying him to push propaganda. They're paying him to make comments just like he made this morning. Unfortunately, a lot of people believe what he says. A lot of people believe Tim Tebow was given this opportunity in Jacksonville because of his race. ESPN is paying Stephen A. Smith to keep the country divided. He has ruined his legacy. Stephen A. used to be respected. When he was allowed to think for himself, he thought logically. There was a time when black people accused him of being overly harsh on black athletes and always taking the side of white people. They called him an Uncle Tom. For years they called him that. In the last 12, 18 months, he has done a complete 180. There's only one logical explanation. He's doing it for the money. Once you get past a certain age, it is extremely rare for your mentality to drastically shift. I did a video a couple of months ago where I researched the history of Stephen A. politically. Go check it out in the archives. I give examples of how he used to be logical. He used to be a moderate. And I give a timeline of when he began to shift into woke politics. I can't remember when it was. It might have been May or June, but go check it out in the archives. Time to let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on Stephen A. claiming that Tim Tebow was cut because Urban Meyer was concerned about the claims of white privilege? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.